And good afternoon and welcome. My name is Randy Price. We are the Price Group. And if you've been receiving our emails or been with us any length of time, you know that we like to do some educational events on a regular basis that transcend the investment stocks and bonds and mutual funds and the Federal Reserve and all that is going on. Today, I think we have a very nice speaker and some good information for you. Our speaker today is James Morrison. James is what I would call an industry expert in the area of cybersecurity. He's worked at various corporate entities such as Hewlett Packard. Probably one of his greatest claims to fame before that, he was 22 years with the FBI as a senior computer scientist focusing on cybersecurity. He taught multiple classes for the FBI at Quantico and also internationally. He was an engineer for Lockheed Martin. So folks, we have a true expert on hand with us, and he is nicknamed himself the Texas Cyber Guy. James lives in Houston, and James, always good to see you. We always get good feedback from the time that you've been with us before. One administrative thing, if you have some questions, we want to leave time to get to your specific questions. So type your questions in the chat box. Those of you that are on here and just happen upon our stance, we do a weekly email, the Price Group, and we would love to add you to that and make you part of some of the value add information that we share with folks on a regular basis. So James, without any further ado, again, welcome. I understand you're in a hotel room in South Carolina, and glad we could work this out. And welcome to the Price Group. Thanks for your words of wisdom today. It's all yours, sir.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And y'all can see my slides, right?
Yes, we do.
We good. Cool. All right. So yeah, as introduced, James Morrison. I'm actually based out of Houston. So I am normally I'm a teacher there. I teach at Lone Star University, cybersecurity in particular. Retired out of the FBI in 2019. And what I realized in my time in the FBI was that we started to see this rise of what we would, call the criminal, the cyber criminals, right? 10 years ago, when that's 11 years ago now, when I joined the FBI Cyber Squad, we were mostly just following nation states, Russia, China, Iran, kind of the big names, and it was all classified. It all actually fell more under counterintelligence, and we couldn't even talk about it. It was all sort of that secret squirrel stuff. But what we saw in 2014, 2015 was a change in the way cyber criminals acted. And we saw really the rise of what we now consider the modern cyber criminal. So one of the first things I do, one of the first things I started to do when that became an issue is I started reaching out to local financial advisors in particular, because we started seeing these very large organized criminal groups targeting individuals in the United States. And it wasn't people that were wealthy. It wasn't like these were going after millionaires. They were going after, the general public. And so I actually met Mike Malinak through Fidelity along the way. And we started doing this as sort of a thing since I retired. And so one of my encouragements, one of my conversations here, first of all, is please accept, whether we like it or not, please accept that these people will target you. One of the problems I run into all the time with people is they say, well, why would this person come after me? I don't have millions of dollars. I don't have classified information. But here's the truth. Most of these criminal groups that we see targeting Americans in particular are coming out of countries that are non-traditional cyber countries. Nigeria, India, Pakistan, Vietnam, Singapore, Cuba, Colombia. In fact, one of the last cases I was working on in my time in the FBI was we were seeing actual drug enterprises starting to hire people to run cyber scams against people in the United States. Why? It's all about money, folks. 98% of the attacks we see are simply on how can I get money out of you? And I was talking out in Galveston, and I was talking to the Rotary Club, and this one guy came up to me and he goes, why would they come after me? You know, I'm on fixed income. You know, I don't make a lot of money. I said, well, understand this. Wealth disparity will drive cybercrime. In my first experience, when I first joined the Air Force, I went to the Philippines, and I was an enlisted guy. I wasn't making a lot of money, but I was making a lot more money than the people there. So you, even under a fixed income, are making a lot more money than people in Nigeria, India, and Pakistan. In fact, in India and Pakistan, one of the things we were working on in the FBI was helping the local police take down some of these call centers that were targeting Americans. One of the call centers we took down was employing over 10,000 people. Every one of those people had a quota of how many people they were supposed to call in the United States and how much money they were supposed to get within a day in order to get paid. That's the weaponization of simple scam tactics. There are, you know, in a country like India, which has 1.4 billion people, maybe even higher than that now with our population going over the 8 billion mark, these people don't have a job and they are going to target you. So please accept that. That's my first, I'll call it an encouragement. Don't ask why, just let's get smart. The second thing I want to talk to you about, and my second encouragement to you is we have to be smarter about how we use the internet. We have to start being more skeptical. We can't trust what we think we see. So my goal today is I'm going to give you some really concrete ideas of things you can do to protect yourself and how to recognize when somebody might be targeting you. 2022 wasn't any different than 2021 and 2020. We've seen the number of cyber attacks continue to grow. Somebody in the United States is hit by a hacker every 39 seconds. That's reality. And cybercrime right now is more profitable than the global illegal drug trade. That's why what I was talking about earlier, we see drug cartels actually starting to target Americans because the odds of them going to jail are lower and the gain is higher. So these criminal groups are looking for ways to get money out of your pocket. And this is just reality. So we got to accept that this is the world we live in because this is the amount of money. That is a fantastically large number. In fact, $6 trillion would make cyber criminals, if I could put them all in one country, it would make them the 15th or 16th most lucrative country in the world. Cybercrime is 1/3 the GDP of the United States. This number is estimated by 2025 to rise to $10 trillion, 1/2 of the GDP of the United States. So because of that, because it's simply about money, we have to be better. Now, at the same time, I love the FBI, I love my country, but you're not going to get much help. All right. Global crime is so high that in order for the FBI to even investigate a case, the financial loss has to be higher than $500,000 or more. So most of our losses are going to fall way below that number. And so we have to do better to protect ourselves. That's my goal today, is to help you learn how to protect yourself and be more skeptical about these criminals, because your data is for sale. Whether we like it or not, your data is for sale out on what we call the dark web. So one of the things a couple of years ago, I think it was 3 years ago now, I was notified that my social security number had been sold. Guess what? Once your social security number is sold, anybody can create a fraudulent bank account in your name or a line of credit. And so what I had to do at that point in time, once your social security number is sold, you're going to have to go and get some sort of identity protection product. I bought LifeLock. LifeLock is expensive, can be expensive, but I felt like I needed to make sure nobody was creating fraudulent accounts in my name. So we're going to talk about that, but please recognize that this is what data is for sale out there. How are you going to know? So one of the things I'll talk about a little later is we need to make sure we're buying an internet security product. Many of these internet security products will actually monitor the dark web for your personal information. It's important to know, because otherwise, how would you know if somebody was opening up a line of credit in your name? I was talking to one of the other financial advisors, and this happened to him. And he was looking at his mail one day, and in the mail, it looked like he had a bank statement or a credit card statement, but it wasn't his name. The name that was there wasn't his. So he opened it, and it turned out somebody else had opened a credit card actually, it wasn't a credit card. It was a business loan in his name. They had stolen his social security number. They found his date of birth and actually filed for a small business loan in his social security number. Guess what happens when that doesn't get paid? The loan company starts looking at the social security number and they will send out a lien against anybody who's using that social security number. That's just how they do it. They're going to get somebody to pay them. Last year, I was notified. I went to go do a loan for a refinance, and somebody had put a lien against my house. Turned out that I got it cleared. I had to call a title company to get it cleared, but because there was somebody with the same name as me, they put it against my house and made me prove that I wasn't the person holding that loan. So the world we live in, companies, the banks want their money, the credit company cards want their money. So you've got to make sure you're watching your credit. First thing I'm going to ask you to do, check your credit regularly. And if you see anything on your credit that's wrong, challenge it. Go back to those three, and you need to do all three credit agencies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, because here's what happens. They use different information. And so if you don't check all three credit reports on an annual basis, it may take you a while to realize somebody is running some credit against your name or your social security number. So check your credit. A little bit later, I'm going to give you another idea around credit and how we can protect ourselves. Now, one of my jobs today, and Randy and I were talking about it right before, I talk to companies about how they get broken into and how to protect themselves. But what's interesting about that is last year, the Verizon put out a report, and they said whether you work for a company or as an individual, the 4 most likely ways for you to be exploited are the same. Number 1 is credentials, passwords. Number 2 is phishing. And we're going to talk about, or social engineering. We're not going to talk about vulnerabilities. We're not going to talk about botnets. The 2 most likely ways for somebody to get your information or break into your computer is through credentials and social engineering. So that's what we're going to focus on. What we don't want to like to know, or what we don't like to think about, it's us. The weakest link in any security posture is us. Bad passwords, not paying attention, misuse, or just plain human error. And when I talk to companies, are you training your people? So what you're getting today is you're getting free training through Randy and his team. I'm going to talk to you about how to recognize social engineering and how to avoid it. Now, we've heard the term phishing. I hope you've all heard the term phishing, but some of these other terms we haven't heard before. Whaling. This is where you go after the big fish, like an executive. Pretexting. I'm going to come back to pretexting. Baiting. Baiting is where I try to get you to click on a link and go to my web page, and then that web page infects your computer. But let's talk about pretexting really quick. I hope you've all seen the movie Catch Me If You Can. And if you haven't seen it, it's a great movie with Leonardo DiCaprio plays a man named Frank Abagnale. He's being chased by Tom Hanks, who is an FBI agent. And it's set in the late 60s, I believe, somewhere in the 60s, maybe early 70s. Well, eventually they catch him. But along the way, Frank Abagnale pretends, and this is a true story, first of all. Catch Me If You Can is a true story. He pretends to be a doctor, a lawyer, and a pilot for Pan Am. So much so that he actually flies for Pan Am as an extra pilot. He actually is a lawyer in East Texas or Western Louisiana for a number of years and wins cases. And he's a doctor. He actually performs as a doctor. What he's doing there is called pretexting. He creates a persona and then uses that persona to get information out of them. He made money off of it. He was actually successful, made a lot of money. The cool thing is Frank Abagnale, after he was arrested by the FBI, served his time, he worked for the FBI. And I had the distinct pleasure a couple of years ago of meeting Frank Abagnale. He's in his 70s now, and he's an incredibly intelligent person. And he now trains people on how to recognize social engineering. If somebody contacts you and pretends to be somebody, we have to challenge them. We have to. Here's a case. Probably 3 or 4 years ago, I got a call from somebody who said they were a doctor calling from a local hospital in Houston. Okay. And they told me that my son had been in a car accident, a very bad car accident. And they said that he needed emergency care And before they could actually take care of them, they needed some information from me. Now, I know that's not true. All right. That's not the way this works. But they needed his social security number and they needed a credit card in order to find actually take care of him. So I started asking them questions. And I said, where is he? What hospital? And they named it. It was Southwest Memorial. And I said, is that at the corner of Bissonnet and Beechnut? Which it's not. But the criminals didn't know that. And so I started this conversation and I kept having them dig themselves in. And about 3 minutes into the conversation, the person I'm talking to says this, you know that I'm trying to scam you, don't you? I said, yes, sir. I figured that out very early. He said, well, it's my job to try to get money out of you. And you were successful in avoiding it, but maybe the next person won't. He tells me that. So I replied to him and I said, I was still in the FBI at the time. So I said, well, let me give you a piece of advice. Your call center is getting ready to be taken down by the Indian National Police. I've already traced you back. I know where you are. Sure enough, within 2 weeks, we took down that call center and we found more than 8,000 people working in that call center. Every one of them was trying to scam money out of Americans. Those are the stories. Those are reality. So we've got to avoid that conversation. Now, why does social engineering work? Here's what I would love you to do. If you've ever received an email from the Nigerian prince, right? So the Nigerian prince scam has been going on for over 20 years. Read it out loud and realize how ridiculous the request is. Hello, I am Dr. Whoever calling, from the Nigerian royal family. I'm their treasurer. And we're trying to get our money out of Nigeria, and we need your help. Here's my question immediately. Why do you need my help? If you need money, why aren't you going to a millionaire? But they go on. They say, if you will give us $1,000, we will give you $10,000 when our money clears customs. People fall for this. People fall for this and they give money to the Nigerian prince scam. Why? Emotion. The emotion of, oh my gosh, I could actually make some money. People fall into that. So social engineering is built upon the idea of emotional response, not intellectual response. So when you get those phone calls, when you get those text messages, when you get an email, you need to think about it intellectually, not emotionally, because the message they're sending you is designed to attract your attention. I just received, I'm a big Amazon. I've been Amazon since I started working from home 3 years ago, right? And I make a lot of orders. I just got notified on a text message that my Amazon account had been locked. And I needed to click on this link to verify my account information. Whoa, hey, don't cut me off from my Amazon, right? An emotional response says, don't cut me off. And if I clicked on that link, it would take me to a page that looks like the Amazon webpage and ask me to log in. What am I going to put in? My username and my password. If I do that, if I follow that link, I have now given somebody else access to my Amazon account. And how long will it take me for me to figure out that somebody is using my account to buy and to buy fraudulent activity, to do a fraudulent activity? Don't fall for it. No matter how much attention, how attractive it is, no matter the sense of urgency that you're given. If you click on a link or an attachment in an email or in a text message, it is very possible for somebody to do damage to you and take your information. Don't do it. All right. Don't be greedy. The Nigerian prince scam, whether we like it or not, is greed. Give 1,000, get 10,000 back. That's pure and simple greed. I'm earning it the old-fashioned way. Somebody gave it to me or I stole it, right? No. What we're looking at is what's the right way for us to give money and get money back. If it's quick and easy, probably doesn't work. Here's another good example. A couple of years ago, I was selling a dryer on Craigslist, right? I listed it for $300, pretty new. I think it's $200. Anyways, whatever the price was. Within 15 minutes of listing it on Craigslist, I receive a text message that says, hello, my name is whoever. I would like to buy your dryer, but I'm out of state. I'm going to send you a check for $350. When you get that check, please cash it. Let me know when it clears, and I will come and pick up the dryer. Now, wait a second. I've been a capitalist all my life. If I sell something at a yard sale, nobody pays more. Nobody does. Matter of fact, they want to talk me down from $1 to 50 cents. So if you're selling something on Craigslist, somebody is going to talk you down, not give you more. But we get greedy. And here's what we do. We get the check. They send us a check and we deposit it. How long until the money is made available to you by the bank? If it's an established account for under $1,000, a lot of times it's immediate. You are immediately said that $350 is available for you to withdraw. How long though till the check actually clears? 7 to 10 days. So what happens is you think the money's available. You tell this person, come get the dryer. They get the dryer and then the check bounces 7 to 10 days later. Don't fall for greed. Greed is a huge monster. So Gerald's asking about passwords stored on your computer. We're going to talk about that one here in a second. A little ahead of my game about password storage. But greed and curiosity are very, very dangerous on the internet. Overall, slow down. Here's another example. You go on a web page and all of a sudden a screen pops up and says, your computer has a virus. Click here to scan. Why would you not want to click here? Because you are clicking on a link. Doesn't look like a link, but if you click on that link, you are now taking your computer to a possible malicious site. Don't fall for it. When a window pops up like that, you can power your computer off, reboot, and make sure that you don't get any more notifications. If you go back to the same website and the same thing pops up, it's the website that's infected, not your computer. Don't fall for it. Slow down, research the facts, but don't let a link be in control of where you go. Also, just because the email address that you're getting an email sent to you from is correct, doesn't mean it's not malicious. Case in point, a couple of years ago, I received an email from my aunt. My aunt's in her 80s. And she said, it was her email address. They have had the same email address for 30 years. And it said, hello, can you help me? Now, my aunt is a Southern belle. She's from South Carolina, actually. And I know for a fact that if she reached out to me for the first time in many years, she would never start an email with hello. It'd be, hello, Jamie. How are you doing? How's the family? How are the kids? Because that's just the way her email would be. So I responded to the email already knowing that somebody else was in charge. And I said, hi, I'd love to help you. What can I do for you? And I got a response back that said, I'm looking to buy iTunes gift cards for my niece, and I can't find any anywhere near me. Can you buy some for me and give me the serial numbers? I said, I'd love to if you can tell me who I am and how you met me. And I never received a response. I called my uncle and said, actually, I called my cousin and said, hey, somebody's in your dad's account, your dad and mom's account. You need to reset their password. And sure enough, they found out that somebody was sending emails from their account. Just because the email address or a social media account looks right, don't trust it unless you are willing to, you need to verify it. Verify that the person is sending something to you, especially if this is a person you don't communicate with regularly. Email hijacking is rampant. In fact, when I send out a phishing email of 100 emails, in general, 30 of them are opened. Now, opening an email does not cause you problems. We're good there. But in the email is a link or an attachment. And of those 30, 8 of them somebody clicks on. And when they click on that link or attachment, it could be malicious and it can cause damage. And here's what you can do. You click on my link and I could take over your email account. You click on my link and I can launch ransomware against your home computer, which will prevent you from accessing all of your computer files until you pay a ransom. Or even better, I could put a piece of software on your computer called a keystroke logger that would let me see every key you typed, including passwords and usernames and user accounts. So if you click on a link or attachment, you could find yourself in this trouble. So don't. Very, very, very important. Don't click on links and attachments and emails that you aren't completely sure of. If you're not sure, ask. Contact the person who sent it and said, hey, did you send this to me? Also, we're still working from home. Home computers are extremely insecure, mainly because of everything that we have on our home network. So we've got to be careful. What I tell people all the time at home is make sure you've got your home network secured. How do we do that? If you have a Wi-Fi router, let's say you get a Wi-Fi router from Xfinity or AT&T or Comcast, where is the password for your Wi-Fi? Is it written on the side of your box? If it's written on the side of the box, you need to change that password or cover that so nobody can see it. Had a case, child pornography case, when we went out to actually contact the person that was registered to the address, it was an 80-year-old man and his 79-year-old wife. I'd worked a number of these cases. I knew this wasn't the actual perpetrator, but we verified and then interviewed. And in the interview, this is the comment that was said. No, we don't use our computer much, but the nice young man next door who comes over and does odd jobs for us often asks questions about our Wi-Fi. Turns out we ran the guy next door. Their neighbor was a convicted pedophile. He was not allowed to have Wi-Fi, but he was using their Wi-Fi to access child pornography sites. Lock your account, lock your Wi-Fi down, change your password. If you don't know how to do it, get your 16 or 17-year-old kid over and have them change it. They'll know how to do it. Go on YouTube, put in the model number of your device and say, how do I change the password? And you'll get a whole screen on how to do it. Secure your network. Antivirus and malware, anti-malware programs. Buy something for your computers. Don't just let it ride. I use Bitdefender. I've used it for many years. It's a Romanian-based company. WebRoot is good. PCmatic is a great product, but use some sort of product that comes with a recommendation from somebody that you know in the IT field, okay? But please, my Bitdefender actually does dark web monitoring, so they notify me if somebody has sold an account or sold my social security number. And that's how I found out that my social security number had been sold. Keep everything up to date, including phones. Very, very common problem. Your software on your phone needs to be kept up to date because there's a lot of vulnerabilities that get discovered and they're patching it. Also, whatever programs you're running, Microsoft Office, whatever you're running, make sure you keep that up to date. Use a VPN, especially if you travel. What a VPN does is protects your surfing traffic. So if somebody is on the network, so a public network, anybody could be on that public network monitoring you. But if you're using a VPN, they can't see what you're doing. So use a VPN. Be careful what information you share on public media, social media, right? Social media is ripe with a lot of people that are out there gathering information about you. Example, one of my friends said, taking a trip out of town. We'll be back next week. Love you all. She put this on Facebook. So I texted her and I said, I'm robbing your house today, just letting you know. And she was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. My daughter's there. I said, no, I've already driven by your house. Nobody's there. And she was like, stalker. I was like, yep, that's what I do. But if you put that kind of information out there on social media, you could be inviting someone to actually cause you damage and steal information from you. So be very, very careful what you share. In addition, on your home network, be careful what devices you add to your home network. If you add, for example, Ring doorbells, we got the Alexa and the smart home type devices, web camera type devices. These devices can be a risk to you and to your information. Here's the big two that we have to be very careful of. Number one, anything with a video camera. If it has a video camera, make sure that the video camera does not point into a sensitive area of your house like a bedroom or a bathroom. Be careful, please, okay? The second thing is anything that collects your voice. Alexa, Google Home, and whether we like it or not, our smartphones. Our smartphones are listening to us, folks. If you don't believe me, talk about something with your phone here, not turned off, but just locked. And then see what appears on your advertisements on your computer within the next 24 to 48 hours. It collects your information and they sell your information to each other. It's not Big Brother, it's marketing. Here's the rule of marketing. If you are not paying for a product, you are the product. So with the Alexa and the Google Home and your phone Siri, you are the product. Your information is being bought and sold. Not illegal, just simply the way that they do business. So just understand that. If you're going to have a sensitive conversation, try to do it in a place that doesn't have either a phone in the area, you want to turn that phone off, or without one of those audible devices in. Just be aware. Our cell phones collect a lot of information about us. So why should we be careful about handing our phone to somebody to make a call? There's a story about it from a couple weeks ago, and it made me laugh. Father handed his phone to his kid and thought his kid was going to play a computer game. His kid was hungry and decided to go through Uber Eats and order food. He ordered over $1,000 worth of food before the first delivery driver showed up, and his dad took the phone away. Those things are on our phone, and if somebody has access to our phone, they could actually steal that. So just be aware. Don't hand your phone to somebody you do not know, or somebody that may not have your best interests at heart. Also, we have a new attack called SIM swapping. In this particular case, the criminal gathers information about you through social media or through phishing. They then use that information to call your service provider, Verizon, T-Mobile, and they impersonate you. They then attempt to trick the carrier into switching your phone number to their SIM card. And if they are successful, they will now receive all of your calls, all of your text messages, including access codes to reset passwords. And you'll have to then reset your account. Here's how you protect yourself. Make sure you have a password or a PIN on your with your carrier, your phone carrier, whether it's Verizon or Google, or Verizon, T-Mobile, whoever. Make sure you have a good password and change it every so often. That's all you need to do. Make sure that password is in place. All right, USBs, flash drives. Very simple. Don't pick up a flash drive you don't know and put it in your computer. Don't bring strange USBs home. Bad idea. The other idea, though, is if you meet somebody and they want to take a flash drive and put it in your computer, the answer is no. I was talking to a woman who was in a dating situation, and the man that she was with took a USB out and plugged it into her laptop while they were watching a movie. And he attempted, right in front of her, and attempted to steal all of the files from her computer, including pictures. She stopped him. She made him leave the house, but she was terrified because he now knew where she lived. Don't let people put those kind of devices in your system. Just don't. If you need one, buy one. All right, we're going to get into the password conversation now. What's the most common passwords in the world? Password has been number 2 for a number of years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or any sort of number sequence tends to be the first one. And the next set of passwords that we run into are kids' names, pets' names, and dates. In fact, 59% of Americans use dates as passwords. Birth dates, anniversaries being the most common. Your kids' names, your pets' names, and your birth dates and anniversaries are public record. Wait, what did I just say? Your kids' names, your pets' names, your dates are public record. I can do a public record search on any person from just their email address or their phone number. It will tell me who lives at your house and their approximate age. From there, I can actually use Ancestry.com to find out who and what their birth dates are. We have a bad problem with public data. We got to be careful of that. Don't use those as passwords. Please don't use those as passwords. The question that came up earlier was, are they safe stored on your computer? The answer is, depends on where you store them. That's a security question answer, right? If you store your passwords in a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet or in the notepad of your phone, they are not secure. Not secure. If you store them in your web browser, Chrome, Edge, they're not secure. You want to store passwords in a password manager. And we're going to talk about password managers here in a second. But you want to use a product that is specifically designed to store passwords, not Word documents, spreadsheets, or note folders. The other issue we have is we need to think about the passwords we create. We usually pick a 3, 4, or a 5 character word, put a $ or a number sign, and then 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 are the year. And that's the pattern that we use for most of our passwords. In fact, most Americans use no more than 2 passwords for every one of their online accounts. So what happens when you lose one of your online accounts? That criminal will turn around and use that account, use that password to try to log into other accounts of yours, bank accounts, email accounts. And if they're successful, they will take over your account and try to use it to their own purposes. All right. Here's why. Most people don't know how to create a secure password. I'm going to teach you how to create a secure password. Most people don't trust password managers, which is fascinating to me because people won't use a password manager, but they'll save it into their web browser, which is a form of a password manager. So we have to be very careful and make sure that what we're doing makes sense and that we're securing our data. Number one, do not use the same password for every website. A password manager could be something in the cloud. Dashlane is a very common cloud-based password manager. You could download something to your phone like Keeper. Keeper is a downloadable application that you could use to store passwords. Or on Apple phone, there's already a password manager built in called Keychain. Those are secure places to store passwords. In addition, I know some people, and I'm one of the people that does it, I write them in notebooks now. I have a notebook of all of my passwords, and I keep it locked in my office at home, and only my wife has access to it. That is actually more secure than using the same password over and over and over again. In addition, we have to change our pattern. 90% of our passwords start with a capital letter, 75% end in numbers. What we're doing is by using the same pattern over and over and over again, we're creating a pattern that a criminal could actually break. Here's what my encouragement. Use a passphrase for passwords. Let's use an example. Here's a way to create a passphrase. Get a book. Let's say it is a book you use for all of your passwords. I need to create a new password. I open the book. I am on page, I don't have my glasses, 132, and I am on paragraph 3. I take the first sentence, which is, a sales relationship is like a marriage. Okay? I then convert some of those characters to numbers and special characters. My password is now 5, it's 20 characters long. If I need a shorter password, I use the first 6 words out of it. That's how you can create a secure password. I don't capitalize the first letter. I capitalize other letters. Maybe it's the second letter. Maybe it's the 5th letter. Maybe it's the last letter. But change your pattern and just roll numbers in to a normal sentence. That's called a passphrase instead of a password. It's a much more secure way to create a password. And in addition, it's longer. An 8-character password is inherently unsafe because my job in the FBI was to break passwords. And let's take a look at this chart. How long did it take me to break an 8-character password? 8 hours. How often do you change your passwords? Maybe once a year if you're lucky. But an 8-character password is inherently unsafe. Look at the difference just between 8 and 9. 8 hours to 3 weeks. Well, you're still not changing that password, but look at 10, 5 years, 11, 400 years, 12, 34,000 years to break a password. Longer is better. Make your passwords longer. Very simple, very nice way to create some complexity and create a much more secure password. So, social media. Know what you've posted about yourself. Don't trust that a message is really who from it they say it is. Everything you put on social media is permanent. In fact, it is owned by the social media company. Every so often, you'll see something come out on Facebook that says, I do not grant Facebook the rights to use any one of my pictures, blah, 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 blah. Guess what? Doesn't matter. The day you signed up with Facebook, you gave them the right to use any picture you posted for marketing, period. You can't revoke that. That's an end user license agreement. You can make whatever statement you want. That agreement holds up in court. So if you post something online, they can do what they want with it within certain guidelines. Also, I'm very selective about who I'm friends with on social networking. If somebody like on LinkedIn, if somebody comes up on my LinkedIn and starts sending me advertisements, they're gone. They're out. It's okay. It's okay to not be friends with somebody on social media, but be friends with them in real life. Also, surveys. Look at all of these questions for this survey. What are these questions? What do they fall into? These are security questions that you are asked to recover a password. The most common one is your mother's maiden name. So here's the thing I want you to do for answering, first of all, for answering the security questions when you create an account. It's not a test. My mom's maiden name is not Kermit the Frog, but I have used that as an answer to the question. They don't know. This is not a test, but what they want you to do is enter an answer, and when you have to recover your password, they want you to enter the same answer. So in your book that you're using for passwords, write down your answers to security questions, but don't tell the truth. If you put your mom's maiden name and the real mom's maiden name, guess what? They can find that. They can find your mom's maiden name through a number of online searches. So you don't want to do it. Your elementary school, I can find out what elementary school you went to. That's not too hard for me either. High school mascot, that's an even easier one. I could figure out pretty easy what school, what they went to, streets you grew up on. The answers to these questions, learn how to lie, and then remember the lie. Online harassment, cyberbullying. It does happen to adults. If you find yourself harassed on any sort of online platform, take pictures of the harassment. Those pictures are critical to your case. Document, disengage, talk to your friends. Is there somebody actually breaking a law here? Are they just picking on me, trolling me, or are they actually harassing me? And are they actually threatening me? If you are being harassed or threatened, you will then contact law enforcement, and the documentation you provide is what's going to be important to the case. Lastly, protect yourself. Lock yourself down. Lock your email accounts down, change passwords, all of that. My nephew or my cousin contacted me, and one of his former business associates, it had been a bad breakup. He went on and created a web page in his name and started using it to disparage him. And he said, "What can I do?" I said, "You're going to have to file suit." Once somebody has created a web page, the only way you get that web page taken down is to file suit and get them to take that page down. 2 years later, he's still fighting that case. So hard to do once it's happened. So lock yourself down for online harassment. All right. We're going to dive into kind of the last topic, scams. People are going to try to scam you, period. Whether it's by phone calls, whether it's email, whether it's text, it's going to happen. There's no way to stop it, with one important caveat. If you are getting a lot of phone calls that are of a scam nature or spam type, there's an application called RoboKiller. RoboKiller, I think you have to pay for it. I can't remember, but it can actually limit the number of scam phone calls and text messages that you receive. So if you feel like you're getting too many, or you really do need to use your phone for business purposes, like my wife is a realtor, this is one way to limit those calls. So something you can do. But also recognize we have triggers. Based upon our age and our generation, there are certain triggers that will cause us to emotionally react. Don't fall for them. Whether it's the IRS saying you owe taxes, whether it's a family member in danger, whether it's somebody saying that I have sexually explicit photos of you, happened to a friend of mine, don't fall for it. And if you ever get a call from IT tech support from Microsoft, congratulations. In 35 years of IT, I've never received a call from tech support, ever. So if you get a call from tech support saying you have a problem, you better go buy a lottery ticket. No, the answer is it doesn't happen. Tech support won't call you. So just because somebody tries to scam you, don't fall for it, stay skeptical, and react appropriately. Now, over the last couple of years, we've seen a new fraud appear. Romance scams, dating scams. If you are a person who's on an online dating site, you know what I'm talking about. 20% of online dating profiles are fraudulent, and they are used to attempt to scam you out of money. And here's the stories they're going to tell you. Oh, I'm sick. I'm in jail. I could teach you how to invest. This is a common one right now. People will contact you and say, I can help you invest in cryptocurrency. Don't fall for it. You have a great team with Randy and Matt. Use them if you want to talk about how to invest. But just because somebody calls you out of the blue, not the answer you want to have. I'm in the military, far away. I need help with an important delivery. These are scams, and these people will try to get money out of you. So here's the rules. Online relationships of any type. You talk to them, you video chat with them, and if you're in online dating, I want you to watch Catfish the series on MTV for about a day. They'll have a marathon every so often. Watch that and you'll get pretty skeptical about online dating. But then when you decide to meet them in a public place with backup. But money should never, ever, ever be a topic of conversation with somebody that you only know online. Story. One of my friends from high school contacted me and said her best friend's mom was in an online relationship and she thought she was being scammed. So I called her, 72 years old, sweet woman. And I asked her, I said, I hear you have a boyfriend. And she gets very excited. Yes, I have a new boyfriend. I was like, how old? And she got kind of quiet and sheepish. 35. What? I said, have you met him? She's like, no. He lives in Dallas and we've talked a lot. And I was like, okay, I'm going to ask the question. Have you given him money? And she got quiet. And I said, how much? Well, a little bit. I think you're talking more than a little bit. Here's how much. She'd given him $125,000 over an 18-month period. Every time she talked to him, he said, I need money to visit my kids. I need money for my daughter's doctor's appointments. Blah, 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 blah. And she gave him money. Don't give money to somebody you don't know. Seriously, please don't. It's a bad thing and it just goes sideways and you're just going to be pouring money down a pit. All right. Let's talk really quickly about identity theft. Guess what the best way to prevent identity theft is? A 350 credit score. Okay, so none of us are having a 350 credit score, right? But what we do realize is this. Identity theft doesn't matter how old you are. People are going to steal your information. And guess what? We are entering the biggest time of the year for identity theft, tax time. Tax time is the most likely time for somebody to steal your information and file a tax return in your name. Be careful, monitor your credit. We talked about that. The second thing, look at the number of hours spent repairing identity theft. Can you see that on the left side? 330 hours is the average amount of time. And it takes you more than 3 months to discover somebody has stolen your information. Freeze your credit. Go to the 3 credit agencies. It may cost you $10 per agency. Freeze your credit so nobody can use any of your credit against you. I did this. What's funny is I got new Windows and I forgot about this. And when they went to run my credit, they said, you have a credit freeze. Oh, oops, sorry about that. It took me 24 hours to unfreeze my credit, but it showed me it was working. Freeze your credit. It doesn't affect current lines of credit. It only affects future lines. And this is how you can stop 98% of people of stealing your identity and creating those accounts. Back your stuff up. Don't leave any documents or pictures on your computer or in email. Here's why. If you use your email to store financial documents and somebody gets into your email account, they can use those documents against you. Don't store anything that has financial information, whether it's tax returns or anything about your financial status. If you leave them in your email account and a bad person gets in there, they're going to attempt to change your information. So don't do it. Purchase an internet security product, back up your pictures and documents. Don't click on links and attachments. 2-factor authentication. On email accounts and bank accounts, you want to receive a text message anytime somebody tries to log into your account, unless it's from your computer. This is one way to protect yourself and provide an additional level of service. And if anybody ever texts you and asks for that 6-digit code, do not respond. Don't give that number out. Password managers, we talked about it, identity protection service, but overall, email's not trustworthy. Lastly, I travel a lot. Be careful of what you do in public. I am a tall dude. I can look over people's shoulders. I can pull their passwords. I can watch what they're doing on their phones or on their laptops. Be aware. situational awareness. Who's around me and who's paying attention? Eavesdropping on phone conversations, but Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi is insecure. Always consider public Wi-Fi insecure. If something should happen to you, the FBI does want to know. There's a 24/7 hotline, 1-800-CALL-FBI, or you can reach out to their webpage. However, what I said earlier applies. If your financial loss does not rise over a certain level, they probably will not investigate. And that's just the cold, hard truth of the world we live in. They don't have enough resources. So if you report it, they may not actually be able to help you. That's the end of my presentation. I feel like we've kind of gone through a lot. I fly high, I fly fast. And if you have any questions, here's my email address. I would love for you to reach out to me. But Randy, Matt, I don't see any other questions in the Q&A, but I'm here if you have it.
James, exceeded expectations once again. Thank you very much. Maddie, any questions?
No additional questions have come in, but again, that email address there on the screen will be your way to get in touch with James if anything else comes up. Actually, one just came in here, James.
Oh, let me take a look. Oh, two. There's two. Okay. Number one, how safe is cloud storage? What are we store? So let's define cloud storage. If you're thinking Dropbox or Google Documents, if you don't pay for them, if they're the free versions, they're not very secure. Be very careful about storing personal information up there in Dropbox and Google Documents, okay? So if you're thinking cloud storage, like I pay 99 cents, no, $2.99 for cloud storage with Apple. Because I pay $2.99, there is a level of security with it. So that's the way you have to recognize. I will send out a copy of the presentation to Matt and Randy if you want it. Are Macs safer than PCs? No, they both have viruses. The safety comes in the fact that there are fewer Macs out there than there are PCs. This is the same case for phones. Whether it's an Android phone or whether it's an Apple phone, I can launch a virus against either of those devices. So please don't think that you're more secure just because you have an Apple device versus a Microsoft or another device. They both have viruses. Apple has done for years, they've said, oh, there are no viruses. Not true. There are viruses for Apple. They're just a little less frequent.
Okay, James, thank you so much again. We thank Mike Melinek with Fidelity Investments for his sponsorship today. And we thank each of you for taking time out. You're not on our email list to be apprised of when we do these special events. Please let us know by email, by phone, and we'd be happy to do so. We sit down with folks on a regular basis and help them gain clarity, comfort, and confidence with regards to what they're doing with all their finances. And James, again, a big help. You gave us clarity. I'm not sure you gave us confidence, other than if we do some of the things you're talking about, we'll have more confidence, and that will lead to hopefully reducing our chances of being hacked and taken advantage of. So from the Price Group, Maddie, Matt Price, Randy Price, Tiffany, and Melissa, we're here to help in any way. Hope you have a great rest of the day, and thanks again for taking time to join us on this Tuesday afternoon. Take care.